In a sunlit meadow, where wildflowers danced in the gentle breeze and the sky stretched endlessly blue, lived two very different creatures, an ant and a grasshopper. The ant was a diligent worker, tirelessly scurrying about, while the grasshopper was a carefree spirit, often found lounging on a leaf, strumming his tiny violin and singing songs of summer. Yes, as the days grew longer and the sun shone brighter, the ant was busy collecting food for the winter. With each grain of wheat he found, he felt a sense of pride swell within him. He knew that the cold months would soon arrive, and he wanted to be prepared. He worked with purpose, his tiny legs moving rhythmically as he transported morsels back to his anthill. The ant understood the value of hard work, and he took great satisfaction in the knowledge that his efforts would secure his survival when the world outside turned bitter and cold. Meanwhile, the grasshopper watched the ant with a mixture of amusement and disdain. "Why do you toil so hard, dear ant?" he called out one day, his voice light and carefree. "The sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, and life is meant to be enjoyed. Join me in a song, and let us celebrate this beautiful day." The grasshopper leaped from one blade of grass to another, his joyful melodies echoing across the meadow. He relished the warmth of the sun on his back and the sweet scent of blooming flowers, believing that life was too short to be spent worrying about the future. The ant paused for a moment, wiping the sweat from his brow. "I appreciate your invitation, grasshopper, but I cannot join you. Winter is coming, and I must prepare. You should consider doing the same. There will be a time for singing, but now is the time for work." The grasshopper chuckled, dismissing the ant's warning with a wave of his hand. "Oh, but there's plenty of time. The days are long, and the harvest is abundant. Why waste it on worry? Come, sing with me." And with that, he resumed his carefree antics, while the ant returned to his labor, resolute in his purpose. As the weeks passed, the ant continued his diligent work, while the grasshopper remained blissfully ignorant of the impending change in the season. The meadow transformed with each passing day. The vibrant greens began to fade into the warm hues of autumn, and the air turned crisp, hinting at the chill that would soon settle in. The ant, however, remained focused, his tiny home stocked with food, while the grasshopper continued to play, convinced that winter was far off. One day, as the last leaves fell from the trees, the grasshopper finally noticed the change around him. The once abundant food was dwindling, and the air was filled with a biting cold. He shivered as he realized that his carefree days were drawing to a close. With a sinking feeling in his stomach, he approached the anthill, hoping to find solace in the ant's home. "Ant, ant," he called out, his voice tinged with desperation. "I come seeking shelter and food. I've sung and danced all summer, but now I find myself in need. Please, can you help me?" The ant emerged from his carefully constructed home, his antennae twitching in surprise at the sight of his neighbor. He looked at the grasshopper, who was now shivering, his vibrant green body now dull against the backdrop of winter's approach. "Grasshopper, I warned you. I worked hard all summer to prepare for this time. I have enough to last me through the winter, but I cannot share what I have not earned. You chose to play instead of prepare." The grasshopper's heart sank as he listened to the ant's words. He had always admired the ant's work ethic, but he had never thought it would come to this. "I know I should have listened to you," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I thought there would always be time. I thought that I could enjoy life without worrying about what lay ahead." The ant regarded the grasshopper with a mixture of sympathy and resolve. "Life is a balance, grasshopper. There is a time for work and a time for play. I enjoy the summer too, but I understand that hard work is essential for survival. You must learn from this experience. Winter will not wait for you to catch up." With that, the ant returned to his home, leaving the grasshopper standing alone in the cold. The realization of his folly weighed heavily on him, and as the first snowflakes began to fall, he understood the true meaning of preparation and hard work. The carefree days of summer were gone, and with them, the carefree attitude that had once defined him. As the winter settled in, the grasshopper learned to adapt. He sought shelter under logs and found small scraps of food left behind by other creatures. It was a hard life, but it was one filled with lessons. He began to understand the value of planning and the importance of hard work. Each day, he would venture out, gathering what he could, and he found himself reflecting on the ant's wisdom. When spring finally arrived, the snow melted and the sun returned to warm the earth. The grasshopper emerged, a changed creature. He found the ant, who was already busy preparing for the new season. "Ant," he called, his voice filled with newfound respect. "I've learned my lesson. I understand now the importance of hard work and planning. I want to help you." The ant looked up, surprised but pleased. "It is never too late to learn, Grasshopper. Join me, and together we can prepare for the future. There will always be time for song and dance, but we must also ensure our survival." From that day forward, the grasshopper worked alongside the ant, learning the value of diligence and the satisfaction that comes from preparation. As they toiled together, the grasshopper discovered that hard work could be rewarding in its own right, and he found joy in the balance of labor and leisure. The meadow flourished with their efforts, and as they watched the flowers bloom, the ant and the grasshopper knew they had forged a new path, one that embraced both the joy of living and the wisdom of planning for the future.